So this video is actually kind of a sister video to the worst castings in the Harry Potter video. When I was working on that video, I know I was focusing on characters who I felt were really just done dirty in the films. It also made me think of characters who were just chef's kiss in the films. And, I was like, why don't you make a video actually complimenting something about Harry Potter instead of criticizing it for once, huh? Like, okay, that's fair. So I actually came up with 10, but to keep it fair to the worst castings video, I whittled it down to 5. So here are, in my opinion, the 5 best casted characters in the Harry Potter film series. Starting off with Jason Isaacs as Lucius Malfoy. In the books, I couldn't stand Lucius. I thought he was an arrogant, cowardly little snob, and I couldn't wait to see that smug little smirk get wiped off his face. Every time he was in the books, it's just like, will you please go away? Can the trash take itself out? Thank you. And the thing is, in the movies, he's still an arrogant, cowardly little snob, but he's also so cool. This scene in Order of the Phoenix, that gets me every time. I always think that is so cool. It is just one of those uh-oh moments where the main character is in trouble. And the thing about Jason Isaacs is that he has a talent for taking an unlikable character and turning them into someone you not only enjoy watching, but that you even like. There's just something about the way he performs as Lucius, that cold, commanding presence, that gentle, easy cadence he has. Lucius doesn't even really raise his voice. Other than the bit at Malfoy Manor in movie 7 where things are already circling the drain.
You dare to talk to me like that in my own house?
I can't remember him ever yelling.
You lost me, my servant!
And that's because he doesn't need to. He doesn't have to raise his voice for you to understand this is a dangerous person. He doesn't have to raise his voice for you to realize he's insulting you. Though, let's be real. Lucius is one of those characters that delivers a burn so well, you can't even be mad. You're just like, damn, that was good. And, I love Jason in this role. And when I was a kid and first started reading the books, I didn't think it was possible for me to ever like Lucius in any capacity. In the first movie, Draco Malfoy is the biggest bully on the playground. But once you meet Lucius, you immediately see where Draco got it. Because he is such a jerk. And what I could never understand about Lucius in the books is how he managed to obtain and keep such high-level connections. That guy has got friends in all the right places. I know he's pureblood and rich, so he's obviously greased some palms with a few precursor orbs. But how can these people not tell he's a total worm? He's just such a snob to everyone. And you'd think he especially would have become a pariah after book 2, when he's ousted from his role as school governor for bribing and threatening the other governors to get rid of Dumbledore. But apparently not. He's still got the committee in his pocket in book 3. Fudge still invites him into the top box for the Quidditch World Cup in book 4. And has him near the Department of Frickin' Mysteries in book 5. I know Cornelius isn't the brightest bulb in the box, but why the hell do you think it's a good idea to bring someone who is accused of being a Death Eater right outside such an important and secretive place in the Ministry? Oh my god, I hate Fudge. I can't stand that guy. If this was a list of most annoying characters, he'd be on it. Him, Umbridge, probably frickin' Lockhart, because wow. Anyway, point is, Lucius is a snake in more ways than one. Even with his status and his money, it's still hard for me to understand why everyone just seems to give him what he wants. But in the movies, I definitely understood. Jason brings a charm and finesse to the role where if you didn't see the side of Lucius that we, the audience, see, you can see why some people fall for the act. Even when he's being a patronizing, belittling jerk, he does it with such such style and refinement that it's almost hard to not like him and not be drawn in. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I watch Order of the Phoenix. If I were Harry in this scene, I probably would have been stupid enough to give him the prophecy because, dang, he's captivating. Those eyes. Oh my. But anyway, point is, I just don't feel that any other actor could have achieved the same result because I felt the same way about Jason as Hook in the 2003 version of Peter Pan, which is a totally underrated movie that deserves a lot more recognition if you ask me. But yeah, Jason is just like Sebastian Roche in the way that he just makes a great bad guy. Hats off to this casting. 10 out of 10 would cast again. Helena Bonham Carter as Bellatrix Lestrange. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Helena Bonham Carter fan, but there is no doubt that this role was perfect for her. She did so well. When she is playing Bellatrix, she's just one of those characters who, when she's on screen, odds are you're watching her, not anybody else. The thing about Bellatrix as a character is that she's a total nut, but she's also incredibly talented and very smart. Hot-headed, overconfident, sadistic, but smart. She loves being on the front lines and thrown into battles, but is never foolish enough to truly put herself in harm's way. Even at the Ministry in Order of the Phoenix, when the Order shows up to save Harry and friends, she's making sport of the new arrivals until she kills Sirius. Then she has the good sense to vacate the room. It's like, I don't know, something about her character reminds me a little bit of Foxface from Hunger Games, where Foxface always seemed to know when she was in danger and when it was time to get out. Bellatrix gives me the same vibes. Like, really, she has a very good sense of self-preservation. She was always smart enough to remove herself from real danger. I mean, even being Voldemort's biggest fanatic, she knew better than to summon him if the sword Harry and company possessed was actually the one from her vault. Fangirl or not, she knew he would kill them all. And indeed, when Harry and company did get into said vault, sending her precious master into a rage, she and Lucius were the first ones out the door because they knew Voldemort would not hesitate to kill them. And I can't say I'm surprised about Lucius, but coming from Bellatrix, that she knew to run and she wouldn't just be like, oh no, the Dark Lord would never harm his most faithful servant. And she was more like, no, me first, me first. And it's like, speaks to that sense of self-preservation. And yeah, there's a fine line between crazy and smart, and Helena was fantastic at portraying that. The slow, cantering swagger she had when Bellatrix is feeling cocky and in control, to the swift, manic explosion when that confidence slips, that's not the easiest thing to do. And no matter what scene she's in, even if the focus isn't on her, Helena is always on. Like, I was amazed at when I was watching behind the scenes on movie 8, Deathly Hallows Part 2, I'm pretty sure, when Helena had to play Hermione pretending to be Bellatrix, the effort she put into that.
The way that Helena works as an actress is that she takes research for a character really seriously. So she'd just sit and ask me question after question after question about Hermione in the most crazy details.
That is some serious dedication, and I have a lot of respect for her for that. And yeah, I just think she made a really good Bellatrix. And Helena brought it until the end, too, because even in Bellatrix's final scene, where she's treating the duel with Molly as a game, Bellatrix was laughing and having fun, and then once she realized that Molly was serious, and when she started laughing just like Sirius had, that was when Harry knew it was over. And I think Helena really brought that on screen, and, she did an amazing job. I love her as Bellatrix, and I feel like I'm saying this about everyone on this list, but I really just can't picture anyone else in this role. She was just too good. Evanna Lynch as Luna Lovegood. This is going to be a bit shorter because she isn't really one of my favorite characters, but I do really like Luna, and I love her casting. Luna is described as this dreamy, often La La Land kind of character, and back in the day I was really curious to see how that would translate onto the screen, but turns out very well. Ivana really embodies the Luna that we read about in the books, with the wide eyes and dreamy, serene personality. Luna always came across as a very gentle character, and everything about Ivana carries that really well, even her voice.
Oh, it's all good fun. But as is the last night, I really do need them back.
She just has this tranquility that she brings to the role, and I really, really love seeing her on screen. It's nice that they expanded Luna's role a bit in the films so that we could see more of her. And she's one of those characters to me where once you see that person in the role, they become that character to you. Because I still have my own mental image on most characters like Harry, Ron, Hermione, Seamus, Pansy, Slughorn, Dumbledore. Just this wide variety of characters. I see them how I've always seen them in my head, but I really just cannot picture anyone else as Luna, and I think a lot of that is because how perfect Ivana was in the role. Christian Coulson as Tom Riddle. This is definitely a personal favorite, and Chamber of Secrets is my favorite Harry Potter film anyway, but Christian's performance as Tom Riddle is a big reason why. There is just something about him. He really captures that handsome, talented, well-liked prefect persona that Tom Riddle had, while still conveying that dark, sinister undertone that is Tom's true nature. The way he slips from playful and taunting to dangerous and threatening is amazing, and definitely something I don't feel the other two actors that played Tom Riddle in the later movies managed to capture. The kid that played young Riddle was good, don't get me wrong, but he came off as much more sympathetic than in the book. The whole point of the flashbacks was to show that Voldemort had always been kind of nasty, and making him seem so innocent as a child kind of undermines that. I think the person who decided to change the dialogue from "I can make people hurt who annoy me" to
I can make bad things happen to people who are mean to me. I can make them hurt if I want,
was the biggest mistake. One comes off as much more ominous, as annoy implies that if you simply look at him the wrong way, you could be in for a rough time. But hurt makes it sound like young Tom only gave as good as he got, which definitely was not the case. But yeah, and then there was the other actor that portrayed Tom in Half-Blood Prince, who I really didn't care for. He just came off as an all-around snob to me and had none of that likable air that conned so many people into believing that Tom Riddle was a nice guy. Which brings us back to Coulson. Like I said, he had that perfect balance of that likable air and that dark, twisted reality of who Voldemort really was underneath the charm.
Voldemort is my past, present, and future.
And one part I really love about his performance in Chamber of Secrets is,
Surely you didn't think I was going to keep my filthy muggle father's name?
it's not only so well done, but it's also very foretelling. At this point in the series, you don't know that Voldemort despised his Muggle father and took severing family ties to an extreme. That came into the story later. So to have Coulson say filthy Muggle father in the disgusted way he does is an amazing foreshadow. And not something I think the filmmakers anticipated. I think it was either Christian's amazing performance, Christopher Columbus's direction, J.K. Rowling's intervention, or a combination of those factors. And I also think his acting when the basilisk gets defeated and he realizes what Harry's up to with the diary is top-notch as well. He goes from smug to confused to panicked, and then even when he literally has holes in him, it just makes him angrier, and he tries going for Harry again, and it's just, he did a really amazing job. To me, it's kind of that example of a real world evil where, you know, when someone runs around in a monstrous costume, of course your brain's like, bad guy. But what about the people who are good looking and well liked and look and act just like you, but the monster is well hidden underneath? It's like, to me, that has always been the scariest thing. Someone who looks completely normal, but underneath it all, they're anything but. that idea sort of terrifies me. It might be why I like psychological thriller movies so much. But point is, Christian really did an amazing job in this role. And in fact, the only thing I almost wish had been done differently is, even though I really love the threatening way he says,
Your bird may have blinded the basilisk, but it can still hear you.
It would have been cool to see Tom snap and start screaming like he does in the books. Because remember, Voldemort does not have a medium setting. He is either calm or he is not. There is no in between. So to see him flip out and start screaming at the basilisk, which is just odd. I mean, it's like, you have Harry's wand, why not just do the deed yourself? But yeah. Anyway, I could probably talk about this all day because it really is one of my favorite castings in the whole series. But I think you get my point. Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. Is it any surprise that he's on this list? Do I even need to say why? I mean, really, Alan Rickman didn't play Snape, he was Snape. He had the presence, the sarcasm, the ability to flash Harry an I hate you look every chance he got. He was amazing, and Alan not only made Snape a fascinating character to watch, but made him an icon. You know, even now, someone talks about Snape, we see Alan. It really was the perfect marriage of star power and the right casting for a role, which, sorry, but you don't see much of nowadays. It's either the right casting for the role or star power, and most things I see coming out these days seem to have gone the star power route. But yeah, Alan was just amazing, and literally the only things I could think of to criticize about the role have nothing to do with Alan himself. The first one is kind of in the same vein as Tom Riddle in Chamber of Secrets. It would have been nice to see more of Snape's unhinged side on the rare occasions it comes out. Particularly him going berserk in Prisoner of Azkaban when Sirius escapes, and in Order of the Phoenix when he catches Harry witnessing his teenage humiliation. It would have been amazing to see what Alan did with it, but obviously the movies went with a different direction. And the only other thing I could think of to criticize was what they did to his face in Deathly Hallows. I mean, I know they were trying to make him look younger for the flashback scenes, but he ended up looking really stretched and kind of plastic. They probably should have just left it alone, you know? Better look older than to just look weird. But yeah, perfect cast here. Even the Bored Panda article I mentioned in the 5 worst castings video couldn't do much better. The AI came up with something very similar to Alan. He is Snape. He's the movie Snape. He's our Snape. He is the Snape. And yep, there you have it. Those are my 5 favorite castings in the entire Harry Potter film series. I might do a follow-up video at some point and do the other 5, maybe like a part 2 or something, but I'm not sure yet. I have some other ideas I want to do first. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you did, please remember that these are just my opinions. I don't mean any harm. I just really love Harry Potter and I love talking about it. So if you want, leave a comment. Let me know who your favorite castings are, or, not even about Harry Potter. Is there another series or film or something that you just looked at the casting and you're like, that is perfect. That is muy perfecto. But yeah, just thanks again. And as always, I hope you have a great day.